Hello everyone, welcome back. We are on to our last question here for activity 2, proving properties of parallelograms. If you're not sure how I got this parallelogram, please watch the previous video where I used GeoGebra, this graphing calculator software, to graph my lines and then draw the parallelogram. All right, so question 3 asks us to prove that our figure is a parallelogram. And whenever we are being asked to prove something, you want to think about like the assumptions you've made or the properties that you know about a certain figure, and then how you can go about proving those. When we think about a parallelogram in the context of our coordinate geometry unit, we can think about like distance and slope. So I'm going to write here a few properties that we can prove. So properties to prove. So one property that we've assumed with a parallelogram are that there are two sets of parallel sides, right? So basically we assume that opposite sides are parallel. So I'm going to write that here. Opposite sides are parallel. The second assumption that we make is that opposite sides are congruent, right? So we would assume that if this was a parallelogram, AB would have the same length as DC, and then AD would have the same length as BC. So opposite sides are congruent. All right, so think about how in this lesson with 6.7, right, we talked about how slope related with parallel lines. So think about how you could start to investigate the slope here to prove this first property. And then when we think about the second property, right, we need to figure out the length of AB and DC. So think about previously on a coordinate grid, right, how could we solve for this distance? Right? What type of shape could we maybe draw where we know how to find that distance? So this is just kind of launching you into this activity. I encourage you to try to prove these two on your own. In the next two videos, I'll be walking through the process of proving each property. So you can either use the next videos to check your work or work through if you get stuck. So I'll see you in the next video to prove this first property, opposite sides are parallel.